From director Justin Tipping and producer or executive producer Jordan Peele comes Him, which is not a film about Captain Chaos. This is a film about a young up and coming football player who's ready to make the big time, and he's portrayed by Tyriq Withers, who I recognize. He's probably done a lot of other things, but I recognize him from the recent I Know What You Did Last Summer requel or remake or whatever it was, and he is under the tutelage, and even if he isn't, I like to use that word, tutelage of Marlon Wayans, who is this iconic football player who's nearing the end of his time in the majors, and he is about to possibly retire, and he is taking young Cam is the character's name. Isaiah is the Marlon Wayans character. Isaiah is taking young Cam under his wing to train him, to get him ready for the big draft, or to maybe sign up with this big football team that he has idolized since he was a child. And things get very weird once he goes to Isaiah's desert bunker compound training facility. It's a very strange film. Now, early on, I'm not going to tell you much about the story. Very early on in the film, we see Cam suffer a traumatic head injury that threatens his career and life, certainly, but also career. And from there on, you're wondering if some of the very bizarre things that we as an audience are seeing are really there, or if they are a figment of his damaged brain imagination. So this film is very visually dynamic, very interestingly shot and cut. Performances in it are good, and it's just this very bizarre film that gets more and more extreme as it goes along, of what this guy is put through to train him to be mentally and physically ready to be in the NFL, and the extremes of fame and isolation of fame that the Isaiah character is experiencing. And it sort of boils down to, how far will you go to be the GOAT? They keep using that, which is a phrase I really hate, modern phrase, but the GOAT, greatest of all time. You know, Isaiah was the GOAT, and now Cam wants to be the GOAT. And how far will you go? How much will you sacrifice to be the best and be the most accoladed person in your field? The film is very disturbing at times. The film is very gruesome at times, and it leads up to a climax that you're not... Well, I don't want to say too much about it. I'm going to say the climax holds nothing back. Like, if you thought this film was understated at any point leading up to the climax is absolutely the square-up reel of this film. The climax lets you leave going, wow, I went in for a horror movie, and I certainly got that. I enjoyed this film. I didn't think it was great, maybe because it's just what my expectations were, and kind of what I wanted out of it as a viewer were not 100% met, but that's not my fault. That's not the filmmaker's fault. That's my fault for, not just going along for the ride. I would say I enjoyed it. I had a good time. It was interesting. It was thought-provoking. It kept me wondering, is what I'm seeing real? Is what I'm seeing a figment of somebody's imagination? Where is this all going? Where does this tie in? Everything I do believe is explained by the end. For me, it was not a terribly satisfactory ending, because I wanted something a little different. But again, that's my fault. If you're a football fan, if you've ever wanted a football horror film, here you go. If you're a fan of Jordan Peele, just know that he did not write and direct this film. He just had a hand. When you get into the realm of executive producer, it can either mean they had a hand in guiding the entire thing, or it can mean somebody picked up a check in order to have their name attached to something so that it would be more marketable. I don't know. I didn't do enough research to know how involved he was, but it does feel like the Jordan Peele brand. Like, if you go in, and I talked to a few people who said, oh, I thought he directed it. If you go in wanting the kind of film Jordan Peele would make, you're kind of getting that with this. So it's not false advertising at all. So probably not in theaters much longer as I'm talking about this, but it will live forevermore on home video. Is, again, unfortunately, and maybe I'm the one to break it to you, it is not the story of Dom DeLuise's character in Cannonball Run. This is a football film called Him.